One side is luxury, one side is drugstore. Which is which? Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Carmel, and in today's video I'm sharing with you my favorite makeup dupes. So on one side of my face right now I've only got high-end and luxury, and on the other side of my face I have the alternative affordable drugstore options. So if you are interested in finding out which side is which, then please do keep on watching. So did you guess correctly? Which side is the luxury, my right or my left? So this side, the right side, is the luxury high-end, and this side, my left side, is the more affordable dupes side. So today I'm going to demonstrate all of these products to you, and I just want to make one thing really clear. The high-end luxury side, I love all of these products. I love them all. I'm not telling you that they're bad. They're not at all. I just use a lot of makeup, and I've found other products, more affordable products, predominantly from the drugstore, that I think do just as good a job. So just before we dive into this, I have dry skin. I'm 43 years old. I suffer with rosacea, hyperpigmentation, and I also have an olive skin tone. So let's talk primers. And here are the two products that I've used. One is from luxury and one is from Sephora, the Sephora collection, which is really reasonably priced. So on the high-end luxury side, we have the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Hydrating Luminous Primer. And then on the Sephora collection side, we have the Hydrate and Glow Primer. So you get the same amount of product in both of these, 30 ml of product, but the Sephora retails for around about 16 euros and the Armani retails for approximately 45 euros. So that's a huge big difference. So both of these give a really hydrated and luminous base underneath your makeup. So if we start with the Armani first, it has that traditional look and feel to it. So it has a little bit of a, I would say like an ivory type color to it. So it might give you a little bit of color correction, but if you look at it in comparison to the Sephora collection, completely different colors. You're going to get a lot more color correction with the Sephora. So these both feel very silky, very hydrating, very smoothing. However, I'd say that the main difference between these two is that the Armani gives you, I would say, quite a bit more glow, and although the Sephora collection is super glowy as well, I do find it just a little bit more smoothing and a little bit more blurring. And on this occasion, I actually do prefer the Sephora collection to the Armani Luminous Silk Primer. I just find that it gives me a little bit of a smoother base than the Luminous Silk. Sometimes I find that the Luminous Silk Primer can emphasize a little bit of my texture and a little bit of my pores. I think they're both beautiful primers, but if I did have to choose on this occasion, I'd be going for the Sephora. Let's move on to brow holding products now. On the high-end side, we have the Rare Beauty Flexible Holding Gel. And on the more affordable drugstore end, we have the Maybelline Superlock Brow Glue. So the Maybelline retails for about 12 euros and you get 6 ml of product, and the Rare Beauty retails for 24 euros, but you actually get less product at 4.5 ml. So they are both clear brow gels. They don't leave any white cast. They're not sticky. They're not hard. They both are designed to hold your hairs in place and create a really nice lifted but subtle brow holding look. So I would say that the major difference between these two is actually the strength of the hold. So I find that the Rare Beauty is a beautiful brow holding product, but it does have that more of a gel consistency, and it is a little bit more flexible. So you can still move your eyebrows around once you have applied this. Whereas I find that with the Maybelline, gives more of a firm hold, a stronger hold, and it will keep the eyebrows in place just a little bit longer than the Rare Beauty. And when it comes to my eyebrows, I need all the help I can get. So with the Maybelline, I find that it finds every single teeny tiny hair and it gives the appearance of fuller looking brows, which I don't find that the Rare Beauty does. Again, I love them both. I use them both, but the Maybelline just makes sense and you get more product as well. Next, we are moving on to concealer. And on the high-end luxury side, we have the Estée Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Concealer. And on the more affordable end, we have the Maybelline Lift Serum Concealer. Both claim to be medium to full coverage concealers. The Estée Lauder retails for about €34, and the Maybelline can retail anywhere between €9 and €13. Now, I still haven't found my correct shade in either of these. So I've got 2N in the Estée Lauder, and I have the shades 35 and 50 in the Maybelline Lifter because I still don't have my true shades. And I did just want to point out one thing, that I chose my worst side for the drugstore dupe side because I didn't want you thinking I was choosing my best side for the dupe side. So that Maybelline concealer had a lot more to deal with. So the double wear definitely leaves your under eyes looking really, really nice, really, really smooth. However, as I always say with this concealer, if you've not prepped your under eyes properly, this can get really, really drying. Now, although the double wear feels like a smoother consistency than the Maybelline gives such a smooth and beautiful finish under the eyes. This doesn't feel like a serum concealer, so you feel like you're being duped, but when it blends out, it literally blends into the most smoothing of formulas, and it will literally stay there all day. However, I think people run into trouble with the lifter concealer because they just use too much of it. Now, I will say that the finish is slightly different, so I would call the Estée Lauder more of a soft matte. I would say that the lifter concealer has more of a possibly a bit of a luminous, not a dewy, but more of a luminous finish. However, I feel like if you have dry and maturing under eyes, I do feel like the Lifter Serum Concealer is definitely a better alternative because it just leaves the under eyes feeling and looking more hydrated, and it definitely gives more coverage than the Estée Lauder. And they have a really similar amount as well. You get a massive 12ml with the Estée Lauder, and you also get 11ml with the Maybelline as well, so no difference there. So for me, which one do I choose on a daily basis? I choose the Maybelline. So for foundation, on the luxury side, we have the newly reformulated Armani Luminous Silk. And on the drugstore end, the dupe side, we have the L'Oreal True Match Super-Blendable Foundation. So I have the Armani in an olive shade 5.3, and I have the L'Oreal in the shade 3N. You get the same amount of product in both of these two. However, there's a massive difference in the cost of these. So the L'Oreal you can pick up for around about €15, and the Armani is going to set you back around €55. So I find this actually to be the biggest dupe of them all. First of all, they have such a similar texture. These could literally be the same foundation. So they have such an incredibly similar texture. They blend out in the same way, and they both give the exact same finish. So a beautiful, natural finish to the skin. Now, whether you are using the old or the new Armani Luminous Silk, I still think this is the dupe. But I think now more than ever with the reformulation, because with the reformulation of the Armani Luminous Silk, it's less luminous, but it's more natural, but it's a little bit more blurring than the old one. But I still don't find it to be as blurring as the L'Oreal True Match. The L'Oreal, in my opinion, is far superior to the Armani. They look the exact same and they perform in the exact same way. And I will be showing you my face at the end of today so that you can see how all of these products work. I mean, this foundation from L'Oreal, it's so iconic for a reason. It's smoothing, it's blurring, it's natural. I do love the Armani too. I think it's absolutely beautiful. But if I was to choose based on how these look side by side on my skin, I actually do prefer the side of the L'Oreal. I think it is more smoothing. And let's be honest, I mean, they're made by the same company. So it's no surprise that they are so close in how they look and how they wear, how they perform. Yeah, I just do prefer the side of the L'Oreal than the Armani. Don't know what you think. Let me know. So now we're going to talk contour. And on the luxury side, I have the Westman Atelier Face Trace Contour Stick. And then on the drugstore affordable dupe side, I have the Catrice Sculpt and Charm. This is actually a new product from Catrice. I'm not sure if it's released in the US just yet, but no doubt it will be there soon. As soon as I used this Catrice, I knew that it was a dupe. I have the mini of the Westman Atelier. I've never needed to buy the full size because this, although it's only 2.5 grams, it lasts forever. And if you want to buy the full size, it's €52. Whereas the Catrice Sculpt and Charm, it's 5.5 grams, but it only costs you €6. And these are absolutely beautiful. So I have the Westman Atelier in the shade Biscuit, and I have the Sculpt and Charm in the shade 020 Stone. Now, I do feel like the Westman Atelier is more classically contour shady, if that is the thing. So it does have more of a neutral kind of base to it, whereas I think that the Catrice does lean slightly warm. So both extremely creamy. The Catrice has slightly more of a firmer texture, has that kind of rollerball, and I find it so easy. Both twist up. I don't think you'll find a better dupe for the Westman Atelier than this Catrice Contour Stick. I think it's absolutely amazing. So we're going to move on to bronzer now. On the high-end luxury side, we have this Dior Forever Skin Bronze bronzing stick from Dior. This is pretty new. But we also have this from L'Oreal on the dupe side, which is the Lumi Bronze Le Stick Soleil. I love them both, okay? Like I keep saying, I love the high-end side, but I also love the affordable dupe side. So the Dior bronzing stick retails for about €52, if you can believe that. And for that, you get 8 grams of product. The L'Oreal retails for anywhere between €10 to €15, and for that you get 9 grams of product, so you actually get a little bit more with the L'Oreal. So I think the main difference between the Dior and the L'Oreal is the finish. Now, it's more obvious on a swatch on my hand than it is on the face, but the L'Oreal has a little bit of luminosity to it, and it's called the Lumi Bronze, whereas I would say that the Dior is more of a soft matte finish. So I have the Dior in the shade Light Medium, and this really surprised me. So although I do love it, it wasn't what I expected it to be. So I expected it to be really, really creamy, and although it does blend out really beautifully, I just expected it to be a little bit more emollient and creamy than what it is. And then when I tried the L'Oreal, it had everything that the Dior didn't have for me. And when I did speak about these bronzers, somebody did tell me that they returned the Dior in place of the L'Oreal. And so many people have told me that they prefer the L'Oreal because it is just more creamy, because it just is a little bit more effortless. But I think just on a daily basis, I mean, it just makes no sense to me to spend €40 more on a bronzer when this one does just as good a job. €40 price difference is just a little bit crazy to me. We're talking blush now, and I don't think anyone will be surprised at this one. So on the high-end side, we have the Patrick Ta Double Take Cream Powder Blush, and on the affordable side, we have the Morphe Cheek Thrills Trios. So with the Patrick Ta, you get a cream blush and you get a powder. This is more of a pinky shade, which is She's That Girl. And this retails for about €40. And the Cheek Thrills, this is in the shade Blind Date, which is probably my favorite shade. I have about 4 of these now because I just love them so much. And these retail for about €22. So obviously the major and most significant difference is that you do actually get something extra with the Morphe. So with the Morphe, you get a cream blush, you get a powder, but you also get a luminous balm as well. I love both of these. I'm a huge cream blush fan. I would say that the Patrick Ta is maybe a little bit more luminous. Now, these are obviously not an identical shade match. However, I think these are so similar. So the Patrick Ta is more glowy, and I would say that the Morphe is more satin, more natural looking, but these both last so well on my skin. And I mean, you can see how much I love the Morphe because I've hit pan on it. It's one of the best blushes I've ever owned, and if I lost my Morphe blush tomorrow, I would immediately repurchase it again because I couldn't be without it. So I think because of the finish of the Morphe, because it's a little bit more natural, I feel like it will be more appealing to the majority of people. And I do think you're getting a great deal because you're getting an extra product inside your Morphe as well. So love them both. I would be happy to recommend either, but I think the Morphe is an amazing dupe. So we're moving on to eyeshadow now, and we're focusing on a one and done cream eyeshadow, and it's one of my absolute favourites. It's the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerise in the shade Oyster Pearl, and the dupe for this is going to be the Essence Cream Eyeshadow in the shade Oyster. So the Charlotte Tilbury retails for about €34, and you get 7ml of product, whereas the Essence retails for about €3.50, and for that you get 5 grams of product. So I'd say the major difference between these two is, I'd say, the finish and the texture. So the Charlotte Tilbury is definitely more of a moussey consistency, so it feels quite fluffy and very lightweight, whereas the Essence feels more creamy in texture. Both beautiful, and you can see in the video how easily both of them blend. You can use your finger and you can use a brush, and you don't need to prep your eyelids either with either of these. So I find that the other difference is the finish. So I'd say that the Charlotte Tilbury has more of a sheen, so it's not sparkly at all, but it definitely has more of a shine to it, whereas I think that the Essence is a little bit more subdued and a little bit more natural. Now, in terms of the shade, it's identical. It literally is. And I have to say thank you to my friend Jen over at Jen D Beauty. I'll link her channel below. She was the one that first spotted this dupe, and it is an amazing dupe. And honestly, the Essence is such an incredible alternative. I literally have the Essence now in 4 different shades, but I also have the Charlotte Tilbury in 4 different shades. Love them both, but if you want to save yourself some money and you want a really similar eyeshadow but an identical shade, then you can't really go wrong with this one. For mascara, I didn't just pick these two because they have similar packaging. I think they are so incredibly similar on the eyelashes. Now, just to reiterate what I said, the high-end side here, I definitely have better lashes on this side, and I just do. I don't know if you're the same, that you have one side of your face that's just better than the other. This side, these eyelashes are much better, and that's the side that I used, the luxury mascara, which is the YSL Lash Latex Mascara. And on this side, these are my worst lashes, and oh, they cause me so much trouble. But this is where I use the L'Oreal Extensionist Mascara. These might look the same in packaging, but they perform almost identically. The L'Oreal retails for around about 15 to 18 euros, which is pretty pricey for a drugstore mascara, and the YSL retails for 40 euros. So obviously the brushes are a little bit different. So with the YSL, it has a kind of a sculpting brush with micro bristles, whereas the L'Oreal Extensionist is a little bit slimmer and it's actually slightly curved as well. But despite those differences, they give such an incredibly similar look to the lashes. I would say that the major difference for me is that maybe the YSL gives a little bit more drama and a little bit more volume. I would say that the Extensionist does exactly what it says on the tin. It's going to extend your lashes, so it's not going to give you a ton of volume. So I'd say that the YSL is a little bit wetter, although I do think that the Extensionist is as well. However, I just find the Extensionist a little bit easier to work with because it doesn't dry down as quick as the YSL. So the YSL I find really hard to build up because of the dry down time, because it's really, really quick. So that just automatically makes me lean towards the Extensionist. But yeah, I think if you were to look at my eyes right now, I don't think you'd be able to tell that I've got 2 different mascaras on, and that this side has a 40 euro mascara and this side has a 15 euro mascara. Honestly, they perform beautifully. They don't budge, they don't flake, they don't smudge, and obviously I'll be inserting some footage of me at the end of the day and you'll be able to see how they perform. So when it comes to powder, on the high-end side, we have the Huda Beauty Easy Bake, which is one of my absolute holy grails. And on the drugstore dupe side, we have the Wet n Wild Soft Pink Loose Setting Powder, also my holy grail. And actually, I pick up my Wet n Wild much more than I pick up my Huda Beauty these days. So I generally use the Huda Beauty in the shade Pound Cake, but because I've got the soft pink with the Wet n Wild, I'm going to use my Huda Beauty in the shade Cherry Blossom to compare. So the Wet n Wild retails for around about 6 to 8 euros, and you get 20 grams of product. And the Huda Beauty also, you get 20 grams of product, but you're going to pay around about 38 euros. They are both really similar in texture. I think they are both really nicely finely milled, but not too finely milled. You know, sometimes finely milled powders can be really dusty, but I find that these are so similar. I think I would tell you to pick up the Wet n Wild, not just because of the ridiculous price difference, but because I prefer the fact that the Wet n Wild doesn't have a fragrance, and also you can be sure that the Wet n Wild is also talc free. I don't get any creasing with the Huda Beauty. I don't get any drying out with the Huda Beauty. And I also don't get that with the Wet n Wild either. I think if you've been with me for a while, you'll know that I've always spoken about both of these powders, but the soft pink from Wet n Wild is just a little bit different. I've tried the Photo Focus from Wet n Wild before in the normal translucent. Didn't really like it. This is another level. I just think that in every single way that these are comparable. So if you are looking for a more affordable alternative, you cannot go wrong with the Wet n Wild, honestly. We're going to talk lip liners now. So on the high-end side, I have a pretty new product to me, but it's the Dior Rouge Contour Lip Liner, and I have it in the shade 300 Nude Style. It's pretty pricey, so it's going to set you back about €30. However, you do get... Obviously, you get the pencil on one side, but you also get a little brush on the other, and it does come with a sharpener too. On the dupe side is my holy grail lip liner. I have pretty much all of these Maybelline Lifter Liner shades, but the closest match to the Dior Nude Style is the shade Out of Line, and it's such a close match, and I can tell you and promise you that these last just as well as one another. The Dior retails for about €30, but the Maybelline retails for between about €5 to €8. So they're both very creamy. They're both designed to give beautiful shape to the lips. I think the Dior is maybe slightly firmer, but honestly, I don't find a difference in how well or how long these lip liners last. If I swatch them on my hand, for example, I have to literally go and wash my hand with soap to get it off. They are very similar in shade. They are very similar in performance and in appearance. And one thing I will say is I genuinely do find that the Maybelline is a little bit creamier when I'm applying it on the lips. Sometimes I find the Dior a little bit too firm. I mean, you can always pick up Maybelline Lifter Liners for between €4 and €6, and they are worth every single penny. I talk about them all the time because they're so incredible. So if you're looking for a great dupe, it's right here. So on the lips today, on the high-end side, we have Dior again, and this is the Dior Addict Lip Glow Oil, and this one is in the shade... Why is it so tiny? I can never read it. I think it's the shade Rosewood 012. Now it has a tint to it, but it is quite clear, but it's going to cost you €40. And for that, you get 6ml of product. Now on the dupe side, I have this new product from Catrice. This is the Catrice Filler Supreme. It retails for €4. Now you get 3.2ml of product. The shade I'm wearing today from the Catrice is the shade Misbehave. And when I first tried the Catrice, I knew for the first time when I used it that it was a dupe for the Dior. So when I spoke about this Dior lip oil, people came back to me and said that they didn't like the feeling of this Dior product because it just feels too heavy on the lips and a little bit sticky. And I can get that. I do understand why that is frustrating and uncomfortable. But I guess the thicker it feels, maybe the longer they believe it will last. However, the Filler Supreme lasts just as well. It feels way more comfortable than the Dior. So if I was to pick based on texture, based on feel, I would choose the Catrice. I love the look of both of them. Honestly, if you hated the feeling of the Dior, then go for the Catrice. I love that the Catrice looks more high shine and it has more coverage, and it's just so comfortable. It really is way more comfortable than the Dior. So yeah, it's just a dupe that makes sense to me. Now I'm going to insert some footage of my face after 9 hours, and hopefully you'll be able to see how these perform, because I think that's the biggest thing that people say to me. Well, the affordable looks decent, but it won't last as well. Well, I can tell you that these products absolutely last as well. So I'm back, and it's been just over 10 hours now since I've had this makeup on. So I haven't topped up anything on my face at all, including my lips. So I just let the lip liners and the lip glosses fade. So they're gone now, and I've just got a little bit of lip balm on. And I've taken the earrings out because they were annoying me, but I haven't touched my actual complexion, my face, my eyes. I haven't touched any of it. So I just had a quick look in the mirror. So if we look at my face now side by side, I don't think my makeup looks bad at all on either side, by the way. So here is the high-end luxury side. And I think everything has held up really, really well. I think the blush on both sides have held up really, really well. But I feel like the concealer has done so well. This is the thing with the Estee Lauder Double Wear. Sometimes it performs like the best concealer on earth, but if your under eyes are not properly prepped, it can be problematic. But I think that looks, I mean, it really does live up to the stay in place, doesn't it, when you look at that under eye. But remember, the Double Wear didn't have as much to conceal as the Maybelline. Now, if you look at my mascara, my YSL, and the Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadow, perfect, the Rare Beauty. I think there's a few stray hairs on my eyebrows, but that's it. It's all gone from my nose, obviously, because I blow my nose and all that kind of stuff. But if we look at the affordable drugstore, I think that the foundation still looks really, really good. Obviously, it's faded on both sides. But I think that the biggest difference is like the fading of the concealer a little bit. But I get that with the Maybelline Lifter Concealer because it is a serum-y concealer. But oh my gosh, I'm totally happy still with it. And yeah, I mean, the mascara is still there. The eyeshadow, I think the eyeshadow probably looks a smidgy bit better on the Charlotte Tilbury side. But when you look at the price difference, I mean, you're talking for the high-end luxury side, you're talking €450, something like that, for just this side of my face. Whereas on this side, you're talking maybe €130, something like that. So, there is such a price difference, and people always say to me, drugstore makeup doesn't last. Well, it does last. I haven't touched my face. You'd be able to see if I touched up my face. I would be looking a lot better than this. But I just wanted to prove to you that you do not need to be spending excess amounts to get performance and to get longevity and to get wear out of your products. You don't have to do that, okay? And I hope that this has proved it. So yeah, I'm absolutely delighted with how this has turned out. So yeah, I just wanted to interrupt that with future me just to show you how this makeup has performed. And this isn't a one-off, this is how they perform. So I hope that helps. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about these dupes? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? I'm sure some of you will have some amazing dupes to share with me. And if there's any that you'd like me to try out, let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I so appreciate you being here with me. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next video. But until then, take care and bye for now.